Well, good morning and welcome to Obtaining Funding for Your Waste Conversion Related Business. My name is David Wilkinson. I'm the founder and president of the Investment Training Institute, and I'm excited about sharing with you some principles about how to gain funding for your company. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm in an area right now that when I was growing up, I never expected to be in. I never thought, hey, when I'm 5 years old, I want to go into investments. And I'm sure some of you are thinking the same way. If I was to get a show of hands, how many of you when you were 12, you say, yeah, I want to go into the waste conversion? That was me, right? That was your dream in life? Probably not, but yet here we all are. In fact, it's the 13th year of the Technology Conference and Trade Show specific to waste conversion, which means that there's a growing need, not just across the US, but across the world of what we're doing with waste conversion. But my area of expertise is not that specific niche. It's on funding. So I got into funding in kind of a bizarre set of circumstances, just like I'm sure some of you got into the waste conversion industry in a bizarre set of circumstances as well. So I was living in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we have an executive coaching company. We've been doing that for 22 years for 250 companies in 20 countries around the world. And I was sitting across the table from a friend, and he started sharing with me about the hemp and CBD company that he had just got hired to be a marketing and sales director. By the time he was done with his 2 hours of sharing with me about how the plant can help people get off of opioids and help the planet and all of the different features for industrial, I was sold. And I said, and Brad, I'm going to be in the industry for the rest of my life. And I jumped in with 2 feet. A year later, we got connected with a $24 billion hedge fund. And he and I became immediate friends. And he said to me, David, I can't find great companies to fund. They're great at what they do, but they're not great at running a business. They don't know what a pitch deck is. Some of them need some help with business plans. Would you help prepare them for funding? And I'll fund them all day long. It's been almost 4 years now that we're helping companies all across the world in all different industries to get funding. And it's a part of the process as a company grows in their mindset of what do they think about funding. One of the words that I hear all the time, and people kind of puff their chest out a little bit, says, oh, we've bootstrapped up until this point. And I look at them and they look weary. Usually people that bootstrap haven't slept a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. They've been working really hard. They've been sometimes doing it out of their garage or their basement. But when you get funding, it actually gets you to the next level in your business growth. So when you think about your company and you think about maybe some of your larger clients, some larger contracts that you have that maybe could come along and actually boost you to the next level with your business growth, what do you think about when you think about the word funding? What is the process you go through, and what is the evolution of a company to know what type of funding they actually meet the criteria for? So let's take a look at some of these ideas. The first one is we're going to talk about 3 different phases of business growth. Now, because I don't know all the different businesses that are in the room that are going to be watching this, if you just started up your first waste conversion related business, okay, and you're in there and you're probably less than 3 years old, you're in the startup phase, you're in the entrepreneurial phase. This is one of the most exciting phases to be alive in your company's history. In fact, if you're a serial entrepreneur like me, you love new startups, new products, new projects, new services, new companies, because it gets you alive inside. There's a fire there. It usually means you're probably less than $2 million in revenue. Revenue is the number one challenge in any new startup, is how to get those sales, how to get those closed purchase orders, how to get the clients long-term, how to make those strategic relationships so that you can grow the company organically and then eventually with a bigger strategy through your marketing. Now, it usually has less than 5 employees. The founder, the business owner, is wearing a lot of hats, right? They're the leader and the manager and the sales director and the accountant and admin, and they have to do everything for everyone in the beginning. And that takes a lot of competency, creates a lot of stress. But as you continue to grow, you're going to find that there's a duality of focus. One is, you didn't start the company typically to run a company. You started the company because you have a passion for what you want to do. So that product, that service is what gets you up in the morning. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to someone in an industry and I said, tell me about, how did you start the company? And they say, oh, David, I have such a passion for whatever they're going to tell me. And I say, what are you doing today? He says, I spend 80 to 90% of my time running the company. I don't even get to do what my passion is anymore. That's kind of the duality of focus. You're trying to balance in between exercising your passion in the marketplace, generating revenue, and running a company at the same time. Typically, when somebody comes to us is a pre-revenue or below 2 million, we call that a personal or small business loan. That's typically what we're going for. There's not enough traction for the larger investment capital firms to actually invest in that company, but there always are personal and or small business loans that can help you go from A to B. Now, as you continue to grow, your second phase is the maturity phase. And this is when you start focusing on something called SOPs, your standard operating procedures. You start focusing on systems. How can you outsource and automate some of the tasks that you're currently doing? You currently have between 2 to 5 million in revenue, and now you're getting a larger staff. You have 5 to 10 people. Now you're starting to have some intercompany communication and personality issues. You're trying to get contracts signed. You're trying to grow the company into a longer standing company, a company that's looking to create systems so that you can take a vacation and your company won't fall apart. That's one of the biggest challenges in the maturity phases. Can you go away for 2 weeks and turn your phone off? Or are you afraid of coming back and everything's gone? So hopefully in the maturity phase, your company is kind of running itself now. It's more maintaining. And this is when you're currently looking for a little bit larger opportunities. If you're making 2 to 5 million, you're in the debt and equity phase. That means that there are investors that are looking to put money into your company in exchange for equity or debt or a blend thereof, because you have enough traction that proves to the VCs, that proves to the investment capital firms that say, hey, listen, you're a company that we believe in, and because you have a history now of success, we can actually invest in you. Lastly is the expansion phase. This means you're making a lot more revenue. You're now above 5 million. As you know, in the US, 70 to 80% of companies are below the $1 million mark. So as you continue to grow, you want to realize what phase you're in. This is a different phase. This means you're 11 plus employees. You're starting to think more corporately now. You're starting to think longer term about the company. So when somebody says to me, hey, David, I've got a company, we've been going for a few years now. We want to look for some growth capital. I ask them the question, what's your exit strategy? And if they say to me, listen, I really want to keep the company long term, that's a legacy company. If they're looking to exit it, then they're looking for some mergers and acquisition assistance. That's something that we actually specialize in. We've won awards for that with our company, in which we're able to help companies prepare the company in such a way that when they're ready to sell, they have a strong evaluation for the company. And we have investors on the back end that are looking to actually help other people who want to purchase your company to get funding. Also, if you're looking to acquire other companies to have more of a conglomerate feel, and you're saying, with my waste conversion related business, we're looking to add other companies. We also prepare companies that are going to be purchased by you. This is one of the areas that a lot of business owners, a lot of corporates miss the mark in, because they're excited about what they're doing. They see another company that looks really great, but they don't know how to do the due diligence on that company to ensure that what they're buying is actually worth what they're receiving. So if you are not a specialist in acquiring other companies, you've not done that for 10 or 20 or 30 times and know how to evaluate companies, know how to look at the books, ensure the P&Ls are what they need to be, look at their pitch deck, look at their business plan, meet with all their team. It's a really thorough process that you need to look at that company before you end up spending possibly millions of dollars of your net profit to purchase a company that might not be worth that amount. This is about legacy. This is about your legacy. So many times people come and say, David, I'm starting this company in order to exit in 3 years. And I say, why do you want to do that? And they'll say this, oh, I have this dream over here to do this project. I want to do this project. I want to do this product or service. I want to start up another company with that money. And I asked them the question, why don't you just start that company now? Oh, no, I think I can make a lot of money in this industry, get the money, and then start this, exit this company, and then go do what I really want to do. If you are really frustrated with your company and you don't want to keep it long term, there's not that relationship that you used to have with your company, my encouragement is probably to either sell it or close it down or start something new. There's always a way to shift where you're at to where you need to be. People typically don't get funding if they're not passionate about their business and about where it's going. The investors pick up on the feel of who you are as a business owner and what they're looking for. They don't want to put money into a company that the founder, the CEO, the board is not passionate about their company. So there's different criteria here that investors look for, especially when it comes to putting money into your company. This is the criteria for the investors. It's very, very important that you understand these criteria. I look at sometimes 10, sometimes 20, even 30 pitch decks a week, sometimes from different companies that are looking for funding. I can't tell you how many times I just kind of look at an A+ pitch deck and shake my head saying they'll never get funding. It's not because it wasn't an incredible pitch deck or that the company didn't know how to present itself. They just didn't meet the criteria of what the investors are looking for. They presented their company, not understanding it's not about the company, it's about the investors that they're pitching to. So let's get into some of these ideas. The first one is experience. This is the history of who you are and the team that you have. I'm going to give you an illustration that works in the cannabis and hemp and CBD space very well. I've seen all kinds of companies try to start up, and one of my favorites is when there's a bunch of older tech guys that are already retired, they're kind of bored, and they all got together and decided they're going to start a cannabis business, and they're going to do a grow. And they give me a 298-page business plan. It's a book, which, by the way, it needs to be about 10 to 20 pages because that's all the time we have. So they gave me a book, and they've got the top of the line with IBM and Apple and Dell and all these IT guys, and they're saying, and I remember calling them on the phone, and they were all in their suits, and I got them on this Google Meet video chat, and I said, gentlemen, tell me what you want to do. Well, David, we want to start the largest cannabis company in the world, and we've picked out these 1,000 acres, and we've got these grows, and it's going to be this, and I said, that's awesome. I have one question for you. How many of you have already done one grow for one season? I'd like to see a round of hands. Of the 10 of you, how many of you have grown cannabis professionally at all? Any? How about a plant? Anyone? No one in that whole room grew one plant. Your history, your experience is a key to getting investment capital. Because if the investors don't believe that you can take the company into the future based upon your past history and example of success, they will not give you money to take it into the future. Number 2, and please star this one, the most important aspect of the entire funding process. This is how we make 90% of our decisions. It's called your pitch deck. Okay, your pitch deck is how you pitch your company to get funded. If you've never done one before, my encouragement is don't start now. It is a horrific process that will take you through the ringer. It's usually about 90 days. We have a team that does this. We charge between $10,000 and $25,000. The reason why we do this is we have to get to know the company inside and out. We have a list of 50 to 100 questions, and we spend a lot of time with our clients before we craft the pitch deck that's fundable. So this is the document that opens the doors for the conversation where the investor will say, ooh, I just saw that pitch deck, I want to fund that company. It is literally the first open door. When somebody says to me, David, here's a pitch deck and it's a Word document, I don't typically call them back. I already know they're a company that we're not going to work with. It is a crafted work of art. It shows that you have a graphic designer. It shows you put a lot of time, effort, money into a product that is the springboard for you to get hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you don't have a pitch deck that matches the amount of money that you're looking to raise, you're probably not going to get funded. In fact, I wrote a whole article in the National Cannabis Industry Association on how to actually develop a pitch deck. And if you'd like that, please shoot me an email after this presentation. I'd be happy to give you that link so that you can see some of the secrets about crafting a pitch deck that's fundable. Number 3 is your business plan. Now, business plan in the tech industry is a thick book. We're not looking for that when we fund companies. We're looking for a 10 to 20 page document that has the 7 to 10 different aspects in it that shows us that you know enough about your business, your industry. You've done cost analysis, your performance in there that show us that we know what you're doing with your company. What we don't want to see is an executive summary for the first 2 pages and then performance for the next 8 to 10 to 15 pages. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a strategy of how you're going to take who you are today, where you're going in the future, and if you get the funding, how it will impact that future for the success of your company and the success of the investors. Number 4 is your documentation. This is how feasible it is for your company to succeed long term. I can't tell you how many times we've had an investment client stall out because they couldn't fill out a 1-page form. Over and over and over, it's your documents, it's your business plan, it's your P&L statements, it's your tax returns for the last 3 years sometimes. It's sometimes 12 to 15 documents we're looking for. And those prove to us that you are actually a feasible business, that what we have on paper and the experience and the history that you have, all of this comes together to help us make the right decision to fund your company. Number 5 is your team. This is the activity that's going on a daily basis. If you're a one-person show and you are looking for a large amount of money, typically that doesn't go through. Because we're looking for an executive management team. We're looking for people that work alongside of you on a day-to-day basis, that have experience in their own expertise that you've been able to recruit and retain as you grow your company. Who is your CEO, your COO, your CFO? Who is your CTO? Who's your CIO? Who are the people that are running the business with you that if something ever happened to you, that the investors wouldn't say, oh my gosh, we put all of our eggs in this one guy's basket. We know that the team is propelling the company forward to greatness along with you. You know, I had a very large tokenization deal beginning of this year. It was awesome. It was going to be downtown Detroit, an incredible building, high rise, and everything was all set in stone. It was one of the best investment packages I've seen in almost 4 years. On Monday morning, I get a call from the second in command, and he said to me, David, you're not going to believe this, but Chuck just passed away last night. He had a heart attack and he died. And I couldn't believe it. I remember I was speechless. I sat down in my chair and I said, oh my goodness, and I gave my condolences and the project died. The package was incredible. Everything was set to go. The funding was going to go through. But you know what? There wasn't the team to pick up the baton and take it to the next level. Make sure that you have a strong enough management team that's doing enough activities to prove to the investors that you have a strong company, a strong team. And if something were to ever happen to you, the company wouldn't skip a beat. Lastly, 6 is the word communication. I just lost a $150 million opportunity in the last 3 days. The number one reason is because of this reason right here. It was the word communication. I got a wonderful gentleman on the phone with one of our large funders. It was over an hour and a half conversation. It went really, really well. The funders contacted the individual that was looking for the capital and said, you asked for these things, I'm giving you this, this, and this. I'm looking for the next 2 things from you, looking forward to hearing from you. The person looking for the capital, for the $150 million, did not email them back day after day. And all of a sudden, the funder contacted me and said, David, what's going on? And I said, what are you talking about? No, I emailed them and they didn't contact me back. I'm not going to fund them. See, here is the problem. That word urgency means that if you are truly looking for capital and an investor asks something for you, you stop everything that you're doing and you do the one thing that they asked. If there is not urgency in you, I can't tell you how many deals you will lose and not even know it, because there's more urgency on the investment side than the company side. And if that's true with your company, I would encourage you, don't get in the funding funnel. You're going to be frustrated when people are asking you constantly to communicate, and if you can't meet their urgency and speed, you're not going to get funding from them. So if you're currently getting funding right now and anyone asks you, I need this document, can you please do this? Can you craft this? I need you to fix this. Stop everything that you're doing in your day and focus on that, because the funding needs to take place in that process of everything else in your life, personally and professionally, until you get the funding. And then you can reprioritize your life once again. Lastly, and most important, is the word ownership. When we get a cap table and there's 100 people that own 1% of the company, we can't fund that company. It's like a public company and there's shares all over the place. We want to know that the founder and the owner, the shareholders, have integrity because they own the company, that they didn't give too much of their equity in the beginning, that they can't have control of the company. So your experience, pitch deck, business plan, documentation, team, and communication and ownership are the 7 criteria that needs to be found throughout your pitch deck that proves to the investors that you're the type of person, you're the type of company they're looking to fund. So what is the exit strategy? Because I'm sure many of you are thinking, well, David, I'm not that young anymore. Maybe some of you are in your 80s, and it's time to think about an exit strategy. We've actually coached people in their 80s, and you know what they said? I'm not ready to kick the bucket yet. I'm starting up another company. So as people get older in America and around the world, it means that they need to think differently about exit strategies. So let's take a look at some of these. You have 3 different ones. The first one is to stay small, elite, unique. Build a brand and sell a percentage of your shares to another employee who works with you. If you want to become an employee-owned company, that's called a legacy company. Sometimes it's to your kids, right? Or grandkids. When you recruit them in the company and you give them shares, give them some ownership, that's a legacy company. But it's really not for investment capital. It's to keep the company within the family, within the employees. Number 2, grow the business to merge with or acquire another business in order to maximize profits. This is really effective. If you have this tranche that you're working in and you're really effective in it, and you find another company that is doing a different tranche, and you say, you know what, if we merge these together, we could kill it because we can cross-pollinate our marketing and we can get a lot of our customers to swap. This is something that's great for you. In fact, that's what some companies do. They just acquire other smaller companies, add them as divisions of their company, and maximize the profits across the entire board. Lastly, grow the business to be acquired for a larger sell price and then retire. If you say this, David, I wouldn't buy my own company. It's too complicated. People don't know what I know. It's so unique. Then you need to think about how to shift your company and make it work in such a way that you can sell it at the end and that you would buy it. So who can you bring on board that you can train in what you're doing? Who is the right person? What is the right company to acquire you if you want to be acquired? All of these have the potential to be funded. So when you think about your future and you're thinking about some of your large clients that come along and say, hey, listen, I want to spend $500,000 with you. I want to buy your product. I want to buy your services. And they're looking for $500,000 or more. That's when it should pique your interest and ask the question, do you want to help them get funding? Because that's what we do as well. We help other companies looking to purchase your products and services. We help your customers get funding so they can help fund your company as well. That's another way to do it. So, preparing waste conversion related businesses for expansion and capital is by removing barriers that hinders exponential growth. When you think about funding, think of a springboard that will allow your company to go higher, faster, be more productive, be more efficient. That's what funding does. It's meant to be used for you as a tool so that you can actually grow your company the way that you want to grow it and have the freedom to expand in the areas that give you the most pleasure. That's why you started your company, because it's supposed to make you happy. And when you think about growing your company, you get excited once again at the expansion that you have the potential to fulfill. My name is David Wilkinson. I am the founder and president of the Investment Training Institute. I would like to thank Dana and Jean for hosting this amazing event. It was a pleasure to meet you, and please reach out, shoot me an email. I'd love to have a conversation with you about your company to see how we can help you to expand your company for the future.